this one decision quietly shapes everything about your NDIS business, your client pool, your cash flow, your compliance load, your growth ceiling. And most people make it based on a 5-minute Google search and a gut feeling, either to be registered or unregistered. Sounds like an admin question, but it isn't. It's a proper business model question, and getting it wrong can cost you in ways you often don't see until you're already stuck. Hey everyone, Camille DG here, veteran nurse with over 20,000 clinical hours, former NDIS provider, and COO at SpecereShift. I made this exact call for my own business. So what I'm giving you guys today isn't a summary of the NDIS website. It's the honest breakdown that I wish someone had given me before I made my own decisions. So here's what we're covering today: what registered and unregistered actually mean in practice. Now, I've talked about this before, but here's the 2026 version. The real trade-offs that nobody talks about clearly, who each path is genuinely right for, and how the 2026 regulatory direction is shifting the calculus for a lot of providers right now. And by the end of this, hopefully you'll know which one fits your business. You'll know it for the right reasons. So in section 1, let's talk about what each one actually means. Let's start with the plain definitions, because there's a lot of noise around this and I want to cut through it. A registered NDIS provider has been through an audit against the NDIS practice standards, has been formally approved by the NDIS Commission. So in that audit, it covers everything: your governance, your worker screening, your incident management, your complaints system, your service delivery practices. It's quite thorough. And once you're registered, you carry an ongoing obligation to maintain all of it. An unregistered provider, on the other hand, hasn't gone through that process. It's a lower barrier to entry. You can start today and you still need to operate within the NDIS, but with one significant constraint. You can only work with plan-managed and self-managed participants, not agency-managed participants. So that's really the core difference. And it's worth sitting with it and figuring out what's good for you. It's not about whether you're legitimate or not, because we hear this a lot in the community. Unregistered providers deliver real quality support, and is what unlocks the full participant market, getting the large portion of NDIS participants whose funds are actually managed directly by the NDIA. So right out the gate, registration isn't just a compliance status, it's a market access decision, put it that way. So in section 2, let's talk about the real trade-offs for providers, okay? Now here's what I want you to be genuinely honest, and I need to be genuinely honest with you too. So most content on this topic either sugarcoats registration or makes it sound terrifying. Neither is useful, by the way. The first trade-off is client pool versus compliance load. Registration unlocks agency-managed participants. And depending on your service types and locations, that can be the majority of available participants in your area. So if you're unregistered, you're competing in a narrower pool. That might be okay for your model, or it might be a ceiling that you'll end up hitting sooner or later. But registration comes with a real compliance load. The practice standards aren't a one-time checklist. They're a daily operational standard. There's worker screening, incident reporting, complaints management, quality reviews, and these are ongoing. By the way, the audit isn't a moment in time. It's a state that you have to maintain all the time in your business. It takes systems, it takes discipline, and it takes time every single week. So the second trade-off is cash flow versus stability. So unregistered providers can move quite fast. So there's lower setup costs, there's no audit fees, no systems required up front. And if you're testing model or starting lean, that speed can matter. But registered providers often attract more referrals. I'm talking about the ones from support coordinators, from LACs, from hospital discharge planners, because the credential signals a quality floor. Over time, that translates to a more reliable pipeline. And the third trade-off is flexibility versus growth ceiling. So unregistered gives you flexibility. You can be nimble, low overheads, responsive. But if your ambition is to scale and grow, I'm talking participant numbers, you want to add service types, you want to bring on staff, a proper operation, you will almost certainly need to register at some point. And bolting registration onto a business that wasn't built for it, significantly harder than building it from the start. I know that because I've seen it from both sides. People don't talk about this all the time, but let me give you some real profiles because the abstract trade-offs only get you so far. Unregistered makes genuine sense if you are, say, a solo provider, a solo practitioner, worker, a behavior support specialist, delivering services to participants who self-manage or have their funds plan managed anyway. You know your clients, they choose you directly, and the overhead of registration doesn't match the scale of the business that you're building. And that's a legitimate, sustainable model. So just own it and be honest. It also makes sense if you are genuinely testing whether the NDIS market is right for your business. So if you're coming from another sector, trialing a support service alongside, say, another income stream, you've got another clinic or what have you, or figuring out your niche, starting unregistered lets you learn the whole environment without the full compliance commitment. Makes sense if you're planning to deliver services that require it by law. I'm talking the SIL, SDA, behavior support, early childhood intervention support. So some service types aren't optional. You've got to be registered. Full stop. And it also makes sense if your growth model depends on agency managed participants, if you're building a team-based operation.